Alright, so yeah, I'm just going live right now to talk about CHMIELIX. Right now, CHMIELIX has been saying that, he got robbed, and I believe he got second place. And, I agree with CHMIELIX and what he's saying, because he's saying that, if somebody does a triple 3D, and then somebody does a triple 3D and samples that triple 3D in their mixer and then flips that and then does some other technique with it, then that person should win. I agree with that, because if you're just getting, the difference between first and second place definitely should be innovation. But what he's talking about is also a bigger problem that I've been talking about for years in tablism, in that we have to go to higher levels of judging. So when it's like, dopeness factor, innovation, all that's still subjective. If you have a category that just says some type of thing, like, it's not like, Dungeons and Dragons, where you could be like, oh, agility, this and that. And, that's like a precise thing the computer's doing. When a judge is coming up with, the criteria for judging, all that stuff is subjective, like even if you're breaking like, originality, style, technical, whatever, that's still all subjective. We, now turntablism's gotten to the point where we're beyond the subjective, and we need to actually start writing stuff down and, have actual structures like the B-boys do, like in the rockin' battles, you know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody's goes from 1990 to, to a helicopter to whatever, and somebody does the exact same thing, but then the other person does the extra thing, they're going to go with that extra thing, given the whole set was dope. And, CHMIELIX is sick. So, I agree with CHMIELIX in that if he's doing the exact same things that the other guy's doing, plus more, he should win. But if you're not writing all that stuff down and you're just going by, subjective criteria, just being like, originality. And I'm not dissing judging systems. Shout out to IDA, shout out to DMC, shout out to all the, battles out there. Even shout out to Battle Av. I don't have beef with anybody. But, all the battles that are out there, people are pretty much, they're not really breaking it down into what they're technically doing, like, and the level of difficulty of the moves. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, triple 3D is a super complex move. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that, CHMIELIX is breaking it down like, hey, did I miss, should I have been walking the beat in my routine? I didn't add walking in there. If we're only going by how the judges feel, that's cool. That's one type of a competition, but it's a subjective competition. And as you get to higher and higher levels, like Olympic levels, you have to get less subjective, and you have to really become totally objective, like gymnastics. They're going by specific moves and how the moves are strung together and whether the moves were landed. Not just like, hey, I thought she was dope. I thought it was cool. I thought it was hot. I thought it was unbeat. It's like for judges in the Olympics, so that's kind of why I stopped competing. I'm going to get back into competing. But one of the reasons I stopped is for the same reason that CHMIELIX is talking about, all the subjectivity. Like I hit in Eddie Mariano's battle, the No Tricks battle, the San Diego Skratch Open. I dropped a bunch of drum patterns that had never been dropped together before, let alone, I don't think probably nobody's really done those. Except, I was dropping DJ Trouble scratches in there, DJ Trouble. I was dropping a whole bunch of joints in there, drum patterns that nobody ever dropped. So, that's part of why, turntablism is stagnating is because we know that turntablism is, a complex thing, and it's a complex science, but the anti-science people don't want to let TTM notation into these battles, but there's gonna have to be in the battles in the future, because eventually all these battles are going to be written down. We're going to get free copies of all the TTM software that's available now and the new ones that are going to be available in the future. So we got to get higher levels of judging. It's got to be way more complex. We got to be talking about specific moves. All the moves should be written down on paper too. Not to say that the contestant has to submit the moves on papers, but judges should be proficient enough to be able to write the moves down, especially if it's a juggle. You know, somebody does a 7-minute scratch thing, yeah, writing all the moves down is very difficult. But if you're just doing a juggle, then, you know, it's like all that stuff can be written down, especially if you're just writing key things that they did. Like, you know, oh, started scratch drumming for a minute and a half in classic Babu format. And then and goes into the shortcut, you know, art of noise, you know, beat walking stuff, you know, and then flips into, you know what I'm saying, some scratch triple 3Ds, you know what I'm saying, then flips into some Steve D, you know, general beat juggling and you know, the funk, you know. So yeah, this is just about how I totally support CHMIELIX is feeling that he got robbed, because if he's dropping more styles than everybody else, he should win. But that's not, we're not in a realm of turntablism yet where it's 100% about innovation, you know, because whether it's politics, maybe it's people not wanting Poland to be too dominant. You know, for me, if one country wins every year, that's fine. You know, I don't care if one country wins every year. But you know, I don't really think that you know, if somebody's dropping styles that are from like 20 years ago and somebody's dropping the same styles plus some new styles, and maybe they forget one style from 20 years ago, that second person should win. So I totally agree with CHMIELIX in saying he got robbed with the decision being second place. And you know, that's kind of why I've been falling back from all that battle stuff. And also, you know, there's not enough money in the prizes. You know, that's great that Digital DJ Tools is giving away, like, what, I think $1,000 to the DMC winners, but that's still not enough. You know, B-boy battles, they're giving away, you know, 10 racks. You know what I'm saying? They're giving away cars. They're giving away all types of stuff. They got Puma sponsors. As turntablists, we're gonna need to step outside of turntablism and get sponsors from other places. You know, we don't have to be enslaved to you know, Pioneer and Rain and all these people that, you know, kind of don't really care about the people that created hip-hop, which are, you know, Black American youths. You know what I'm saying? They juice, you know, these companies, they juice the money out of our communities and our culture, and they appropriate the stuff, figure out the sciences of it, you know. And I'm just talking about the companies, not the contestants. So shout out to all the contestants that are battling. But, you know, for me, a lot of the battles, like as far as juggling is concerned, a lot of things peaked out in like 2002. Ever since Kentaro, I haven't really seen, you know, new cats dropping really new patterns. You know what I'm saying? Because like, you know, just some new juggle style. I haven't seen new juggle styles. And with what CHMIELIX was talking about, the fact that he was using the sampler in the computer to flip one of his juggles is dope. And that's a new style. Anything that's dealing with the sampler is a new style. I know a lot of DJs are against it, like, you know, I believe, you know, Disc and maybe even like Flair are kind of against the idea of all the sampler stuff being included in the battles, the mixers with the samplers. But, you know, I think it's all game if it's part of the mixer. But obviously, I feel like if somebody's doing, you know, the core techniques, and somebody is just, you know, triggering stuff, making stuff sound cool with the sampler, then the person with the core technique should win. But as far as CHMIELIX, if somebody's doing the core techniques and then they're sampling the core techniques in their set and then re-flipping it into a new technique, or using an old technique to flip it, you know, that's ill, you know. And you know, CHMIELIX is pointing to the future of turntablism, that we're going to have to get more specific and way more detailed. It's not going to just be simple stuff like, oh, 8 categories. Was it original? Was it, you know, was it on beat? Was it, you know, funky? You know, all these kind of arbitrary categories. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, you know, a lot of dope legends jump out the game, and that's why a lot of people say some of the times the kids have been dominating recently, because it's just about making, it's not even about innovation. Because if you look at most of the kid prodigies out there, they're just doing what, you know, all the old school legends were doing, but faster, you know? Like, you know, a lot of dope DJs now, you know? The cats from Australia and Japan, you know, New Zealand. These kids are really fast at juggling. But the thing is that, you know, they're still not creating new patterns like what Craze did in the late 90s. You know, people had never seen, you know, people making dubstep and juggle patterns. I mean, so like Craze was creating a whole new genre. Craze partially created dubstep through his sets, you know? And these kids now, everything is classical music, which is cool. And I'm not mad if DMC becomes like a classical turntablism type of battle where it'd be the equivalent to like, you know, trying to, who does this Mozart piece the best. And I think that's cool to have a classical battle, but it's just got to be listed as that. It's a classical battle. Because if you have somebody trying to do a Mozart piece and replicate some, you know, 2002 Kintaro set is what most people haven't surpassed that level of 2002 Kintaro, 2001, you know, Craze, 2000, you know. People have even Clever, shout out Clever. I'm in Atlanta right now. You know, I've been trying to get up with Clever for an interview. But yeah, people haven't even surpassed that level 20 years ago. So I totally feel CHMIELIX, everything's stagnant, and notations is going to be hooked up to people's, you know, setups anyway in the future. And we're going to be able to see, who, you know, what the real skills are versus just people's judges' feelings. All right, peace.